Hello, viewers, and welcome to the latest edition of The Huddle. I'm Las Vegas correspondent Brian Joseph, and I'm here today with Robert Kraft, the founder and CEO of Atlas World Sports, an aggregator of sports betting information. Robert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today.
To start, why don't you explain what Atlas Sports does? Because your platform is sort of unique in the sports betting world.
Yeah, great question. First of all, it's been an amazing industry to be a part of. But Atlas World Sports really, when May of 2018, the Supreme Court ruled on PASPA, repealing it. I had that classic entrepreneur epiphany moment, I guess, if you will, and the beautiful light bulb or whatever spark happened in my brain occurred, as they say. And it's really that this is just the opportunity. And I come from the direct marketing world as an entrepreneur, and I saw it as, look, everybody's going to want to get into the operator space and be the gold miners. But, Las Vegas and the European operators, such as what is now FanDuel, now that they had their IPO, those guys are all going to do great. And why don't I figure out a way to be a partner with them, a partner with the industry, and a partner to the users. So that's really, technically Atlas World Sports falls into the affiliate category. But we are building this, and we've built this with the vision to go much further beyond that, truly utilizing hyper-personalization and ultimately to be a partner with the users and helping them have the greatest experience, whatever operator they work with that particular day, but also that the operators can rely and trust on us to help find the best users and best players for them to continually to market to in a safe, responsible gaming manner.
I've heard Atlas World Sports described as sort of like the kayak of sports books. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, we love that concept of, say Expedia, kayak. If you go back, .com days and even early 2000s. I mean, you called I'm now 46. I share a birthday with Abraham Lincoln behind me, so I just turned 46. I'd like to call it the ripe young age of 46. But I certainly remember getting out of school and started my own thing, and in the early 2000s having to travel for business. You kind of had to call the ticket lines, you had to call maybe a travel agent, and then the Expedias came about. And as soon as I could hop on and do that, 2004, 2005, I was all in, and I just said, this is awesome. And I saw where the future's kind of going, and then cell phones and everything and the like. And that was really what I thought, we need that in this space where, users can come to us and just do odds comparison, no different than looking at different flights, different city options, times, rental cars, et cetera, that you might book on a personal or a business trip. And how can we be that best kind of middleman conduit? And ultimately, it really comes down to data and mastering the data from a marketing standpoint, from a one-to-one personalization, but being so good and so efficient with it that the users ultimately know every time I log on, Atlas World Sports is going to be anticipating, my needs or my entertainment value, and we can help them along that to have a great experience. So, that being said, that was really the kind of genesis of it, of studying their model in the travel industry, really, and saying this has worked great. You look at their market cap. I don't know what the latest market cap for Expedia is, but it's off the charts. It's, I think it's, I'm going to say a number, and somebody's probably going to call me on it, but it's in the tens of billions of dollars. I certainly know that. But you look at what Better Collective has done over in Europe, and then they acquired Action here in the United States. I mean, they're very similar if you think of that. So we've studied a lot of those models and just said, how do we best make sure we're a partner ultimately to the users and to the operators, and we just want to help the efficient data flow so that everybody has a good experience of, whatever their entertainment value is, and not just sports betting. It's also for getting live scores, live stats, player details, possible fantasy things, anything that might come into that total encompassing sports fan type of ecosystem, if you will. That was really, where we kind of found it, coming off of a kayak or an Expedia-like experience. And It's like, wow, we can build that. We know how to do software. We know how to do marketing. That's really where we're coming from.
So Atlas World Sports is really designed for, say, the savvy sports bettor, someone looking for the best odds.
Yes, although we really have it being built with the intention or the reason I say being built is because we're going to continually evolve. It's an iterative process. We just recently launched the bet slip technology to integrate with all the sports books, but then we have a pipeline of 24 months of development to continue to iterate. And our next evolution, if you will, is really going to be for that new bettor. It might be, somebody's, we believe very much that females are going to end up coming into this market in a big time. And we're very excited about that. And we think it's important that we're also there cognizant of that, but also being, sensitive and understanding maybe more the way their preferences might be as a bettor and you hate to just do gross, buckets of male, female, and this and that. But from a marketing standpoint, you eventually have to start bucketing things. And you're wrong sometimes, but we're playing for the 80%, the old Pareto principle, if you will, which is, the 80-20 rule. And we know we're going to have some fallout on certain areas, but so the younger or newer bettors coming in, that 22-year-old, 25-year-old who's really like sitting maybe with their boyfriend at a bar or the guy that's never been into it before. It doesn't matter the sex, but it's just a mathematical problem, right? It's really just 85% of the current bettors in the United States are male based. Obviously, where's the biggest growth going to be? I think we can figure that out, right? So we are going to start building it and adding additions of personalization, changing our colors, changing the themes, changing the look. And maybe the way it pings you or doesn't, and maybe partnering with certain retailers of bringing potential swag, if you will, to the users. My wife, for example, Marnie, we were at the Blackhawks game the other weekend, and she wanted to get all kinds of swag. She's never been to a Blackhawks game before, but it has to be cut to a female. They don't want like this big bulky male jersey, right? They want the cute thing that they can walk around and feel good. And well, what if we could start putting that out there through Atlas World Sports, tied in with, say, Fanatics, which we're already a partner of course, both on the sportsbook side and the retail side. But we really look at it that we want to be a partner with whatever stage somebody's at, because we also know that the guy who's the true sharp out there, he's probably not coming to Atlas first. He's probably already got his system. And a lot of them are just still doing their old spreadsheet methodology because that's what they've done. And we're totally cool with that. And we're like, dude, you guys keep doing your thing. That's awesome. And hopefully one day, we can do the old Wayne Gretzky, go to where the puck's going to be and meet them there. But in the meantime, we really want to get the kind of the newer bettors, the novices, if you will, and so that every time they come on, they have a good experience, a good positive experience, whether they win or lose. If we can help them do maybe 5% better every time, well, that's a big difference. And, everybody asks, well, do the books like it? Well, yeah, of course the books like it, because they ultimately want 50% of the money on this side of the ledger and 50% on this side by tip off or puck drop or, kickoff or whatever it might be. They don't love it when it's 70% of the money on this side and 30%. So if we're out there helping move that so it's 50-50, that's good. But so then that we bring in maybe a group of bettors that get on that other side and they end up winning. So that's good for everybody. And it's part of the partnership and the way we've really got to look at it long term from a holistic standpoint and really seeing the horizon of where this opportunity goes. It's every level somebody is at, we want to be their partner, whether the true sharps or novice. And we're kind of right in we say we're just getting through the crawl stage. We're soon to be walking, and we can't wait we're running.
You mentioned several sports there: basketball, football, hockey. I mean, your platform covers all the obvious options: NBA, NFL, college football, NHL. I also see men's and women's tennis, MLS. Is there any sports you don't cover?
I'd love to say that no, we cover everything, but we really cover the major Americans, of course, because we're really focused on launching in the U.S. first and foremost, and really doing a great job here in this market. And the lessons we learn here, we're going to take further. But we want to bring on European soccer leagues, of course, Premier, La Liga, Bundesliga, et cetera. Cricket, we want to get into that. Certainly, we know that there are, when you have a 6-day match between, India and Pakistan, I mean, come on, like somebody, how many Americans are sitting there that, have roots from India, Pakistan, and they're locked into it. I have a lot of friends, from India, for example, and what are you doing today? It's day 3 of, whatever cricket match. I'm like, oh my God, wait, how long is this going to go on? We could, could end today or goes a couple more days. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't get it. It's kind of like soccer, doesn't have a, the clock. I always watch, when I watch, World Cup or something, how much time is left? I don't know. There's bonus of maybe 1 minute or maybe 2.5 minutes, or we don't know. It's, I'm very used to, American football. It's like,
yeah,
all right, man.
We Americans struggle with the European sports. I totally admit it.
I'm looking at my clock going, hey, what am I missing here? But, those are their styles. And so we want to start then catering to that and find them. And those will be other users, certainly horse racing potentially down the road. I mean, we don't have it where we'll be ready for the Kentucky Derby this year and the Preakness and et cetera. But, that down the road, but we're certainly tracking those other sports. People have talked to us about pickleball and all that. I mean, that's when we're going to get into really talking with the operators and say, look, if you guys want us doing this, then we'll pick it up. But I don't see us picking up pickleball anytime soon. But if DraftKings and FanDuel and Caesars and MGM and those guys go, hey, Atlas, we want you to pick up pickleball because we're publishing all the numbers. Okay, I guess we're in. But I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon.
That's fair. What's your background? How did the journey you were on eventually bring you to founding Atlas World Sports?
Yeah, so after college football, I tried to give it a go for a year. I went to the NFL feeder combine, so not the actual Indianapolis NFL combine. They have a couple feeder ones for guys on the fringe, and I was one of them. I was a punt returner, kick returner at a small university, John Carroll University, and then tailback and then inside slot receiver. So kind of a Julian Edelman type, if you will, and just kind of put me wherever. And I'm happy to get the ball. But so I had a good run at that. Had an agent, had 5 NFL teams interested in me as a punt returner, kick returner, and it fell through. So I thought, well, I'll give it 1 year. And I went and played arena football down in Charleston, South Carolina. Made like zero money, but had a great experience. Had to work at Kiowa Island. My sister lived down there at the time, and she was a college golfer, had graduated from College of Charleston, and now she was living and working. So she hooked me up with a job at Kiowa Island. So I'd have to do, carry bags and do all that every morning at 5 a.m. And then they'd let me cut out at 1 p.m. and I'd have to go to practice. And then,
it's the Kurt Warner story right there.
It really was. So I felt like I was living it with them. We're almost the same age. And so it was very similar when that came out. I was like, oh my God, he was back in groceries back in Iowa. And, I gave it that run. And then, I still got licensed at the same time in the financial services industry in college. So I had my, I could trade equities. And so I had my Series 7, 66 life and health. And so AXA, which is headquartered in Paris, put me through all the training. They said, when you're done with football, we want you back. And then I had an opportunity to get back into Milwaukee, into family business and small little print company, and, just kind of just sold, and just figured it out. And then looked at it and said, geez, we got to bring more technology into this. Cause I was really into the cell phone thing early and thinking this is cool when you can just text your friends that you're going to go out. And that's when everybody was just saying why, if they're going to go out, or no. And you'd say the name of the place and time. And that was the conversation. So, fast forward, then got into figuring out, kind of acquisitions and roll-ups in a, distressed industry. But one thing we did great at was I got into the software thing early. I coded when I was in 8th grade into DOS back in the day. And it was into it for a little while. And then I realized, no, this isn't for me. This is like, I know how to do it, but I don't really love just the coding part. I like the architectural part of stuff, kind of framing things out. So, fast forward through, we built a whole platform for UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland, in 2005 when I was 27 years old. We figured out how to fix their pension program. Their communications were going to the wrong recipients with the wrong data. And it was employees of Walmart, Sears, when that was still, going great, and all the major retailers. So we went into New York City, said, I'd rebuild it. They looked at me like, you're only 27. What do you guys can't do this? And sure enough, we figured out, we worked through a partnership in India, and had a software development agency there, and got that. And that's when I was kind of like, this software thing is where it's at. So, then you kind of fast forward and go through all the iterations of being an entrepreneur, the ups and downs. And then when PASPA came about, that was like, I was like, this is my aha moment, and it's go time. And now it's time to take my software and direct marketing expertise, and I'm going to go learn the sports betting industry. Not that I didn't, I mean, I knew it from an outsider, but let me get inside. And I started going to the conferences in 2018 and 19 over in Europe, and just studying those models, and just said, okay, who's doing great? What do we need in America? And it was, learning about the better collectives and, those types of folks over there and what they're doing great at. And then now, how can I take our direct marketing knowledge and go to a whole different level? Because we have partnerships. I have relationships at the top, of a lot of these big corporations, Subway, 7-Eleven, Anheuser-Busch, Miller Coors. So how does that work together in a big play longer term? And we've had a lot of great conversations with them, because you imagine the amount of data that's going through. And if somebody's, watching football on a Sunday and betting, they're going to want to be a part of that. They're going to want to be able to market or get to know that user. And if we can be a proper conduit and partner to the user and the brands, I think we can make everybody win.
How do you view the online sports betting affiliate space in the US versus the rest of the world? Do you see a difference there?
Yeah, well, the rest of the world is more open to the rev share right now. We are not there in the US. Our bet, if you want to say that, which we use probably a lot every day, but our bet is really placed on the fact that we're going to go from a CPA model, a cost per acquisition model on a user basis, to rev share, because ultimately we are good for the industry, we are good for responsible gaming, and we are good partners to the users and to the operators. And that's important, that we can market properly. I do think that some of the just guerrilla marketing tactics of just sign up for this and boom, and banging people over the head, I think that'll either, just kind of go as it gets more mature and more people are on 3, 4, 5 sports book accounts anyway. And it'll go to more like companies like us that can properly feed people incentives on behalf of the operators, but done in a right way. And we can be part of helping monitor that it's the right user, and they should have the ability to bet at this level or whatever else. So longer term, I think as the United States matures in our market, and it'll probably be 5 years down the road before it really starts to reach any part of that. And it'll probably be more like 10 years, because you think about California getting on, Texas, and we know Florida's legal, but let's be honest, until they open it up, really, yeah, exactly, and just a tiny, and eventually that's going to open up where FanDuel and DraftKings, and they should all be in there. Really, from a user standpoint, I don't think that's fair to the user to say, I only can bet with Hard Rock. Nothing against Hard Rock. They're a great brand and they're a good partner, but that's monopolistic, right? So they could give a half a point less on a particular game, and everybody in Florida has to give them that half a point less. There's not fair competition there, which it actually, I'm surprised the consumer protection laws haven't kicked in, although maybe they will. And I know there's certain legal actions, but, so we really, see it as, the Europeans, of course, are 28 years ahead of us ish.
At least.
Yeah. I mean, because they've been mobile. They were mobile from day one. And, I was just over in London a couple of weeks ago for ICE and, a lot of meetings. And, you walk out of your meeting and you go right past one of the William Hill or Paddy Power, little sports books, and it's no big deal. It's not like there were degenerates out front. It's not any kind of horror stories that I think people thought. And in fact, I think the legalization in the United States, I think, has been the best thing because it eliminated the back alley type of deals that were going on. I think that's where people really got in trouble, actually, because it's like, oh, you want to put your car on the line? Cool. We'll do that. And then we're going to come and knock on your door and shake you down for it. Like, you have to put the money up front in your account to be able to bet with FanDuel or DraftKings or, whomever. And I think that's a much safer environment. It's no different than going, shopping with a credit card, and okay, great, you hit your limit and that's it. So I think we have a lot of room to catch up, but I think it's good. And I think our regulators are doing a really good job overall. They really, all of my interactions, our interactions have been, they really are very open to understanding that, look, this, the tech world and mobile, and it's here to stay. The horse is already out, so we got to kind of let it run. And from there, let's figure out the best way to manage it for, the operators, the users, and, the marketing engines and affiliates like us in the middle, kind of helping. And we all kind of have to do our part. And I think we'll have a really good run for everybody. I mean, what was it, $120 billion almost last year of handle in the United States, and in a very safe capacity, right? I mean, that used to be $250 billion that was illegally, wagered, right? So now you're talking half of that has already been legalized, and now we're taxing it, and we're able to monitor it. So if you have problem activity going on, we can figure out how to get to the root cause of it and work through it that way, rather than pretending it was never there and it's going on in back alleys. Well, because it's in the back alley, it doesn't matter. It's like comparing it to Skid Row or something, So
That's a good comparison. No, that's a good comparison.
No, Europe is definitely way ahead, and we I think we're closing the gap though a lot. I think already in a short time. I think I guess we're almost coming around 6 years of legalization. It's been a fast 6 years, but it's been really fun. It's an incredible industry, and in light of the economic challenges some industries have. I mean, our industry's on fire. It's going to be for some time. And we literally just closed our seed round yesterday of $2 million. And we are about to go to Series A. And, and the institutions are dying to get in because the operators are already publicly traded. So there aren't a lot of places where big institutional capital can come in. So it's really kind of interesting because we're kind of a niche industry. And so it's not an easy opportunity for these big institutional guys to place money outside of if they're buying it through a mutual fund or ETF or whatever else, no different than anybody else. So I think we're, knock on wood, we're beyond bullish about what's going on. And Europe's been a great example for us.
We've talked about Europe. We've talked about the United States. Are you operational just in the U.S. markets, or are there other markets that you're either at or aiming for?
Yeah, great question. Well, currently, yes, we are operational only in the United States. Right now, we are just at our go-to-market. We wanted to finish seed round, and then that's kind of opening up the whole marketing playbook here. But we wrote the code and we own it. We developed it. We started from scratch from, the first time we put an asterisk on a line and started coding and going, let's hope this works, But we wrote the code so we can change the language, change the sport inputs, country looks if we want to, change colors and all that kind of stuff. And so we're very much looking to Central and South America. Those markets are very much tracking on what the United States is doing and has done thus far. And they're really good, trading partners of our country in general anyway. And so we've already had a lot of conversations and we're very excited about that. We're all in the same time zone effectively relative to, having to hop on, so a flight down in the South America, there's no such thing as jet lag, right? You're still on the same time zone. You're tired because it's a long trip, but big different than flipping to 10 hours difference. So we're looking to that next, and we wrote it, so that we could flip into those markets. And also, our cultures are very similar by and large. They're really getting into American football, certainly the NBA, Major League Baseball. Soccer is obviously predominant, as we know, and they've got a few other niche sports. MMA is really big in Brazil, so the UFC, and we would make sure we're doing it the right way with partnerships that are local, but so right now it's just US, but once we get into Series A, we have some very big plans we're excited to announce at the right time. So that's your tease. That's your tease.
Exciting. Yeah. You work in sports, but obviously you're not the only Robert Kraft in sports. Do you ever get confused with the New England Patriots owner?
Two funny quick stories, anecdotes for you. My wife went to Arizona State University, and she majored in hospitality. So one of her first jobs, she lived in LA for a while after graduating. She was working at the Peninsula Hotel, just kind of, getting broken in. And she was holding the fort for the front desks for somebody, that day. And Robert Kraft was checking in, and she got to know him over time. And she said he was the greatest guy ever. And this is once she heard, of course, our family story on it. My father owns a private equity company, and so does hotels around the country and that type of thing. The Four Seasons, I believe, and American Express, both a couple different times got their bills confused. And Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots has a much larger bill, I can say. And he kind of choked on it, of course, when he got it and opened it up. Oh, but they know of each other. They haven't met officially, but I will say my quarterback from college, John Carroll University, Nick Caserio, was their head of player personnel. He's now the general manager of the Houston Texans. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, who of course recently got exited in Las Vegas, he was a wide receiver on our team. David Ziegler, the GM of the Raiders, was also a punt returner, kick returner with me. So we have this whole legacy inside of the Patriots, and there's always been a joke of us getting together, and my dad is a Robert also. So it'd be Robert Kraft, and we have all talked about getting a picture together. So through mutual friends and through business and that kind of thing. So we're like this close away to hanging out with three Robert Krafts in a room, but we haven't gotten it done yet. So hopefully soon. Be fun.
You got to try on one of those Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. I don't know if Tommy's letting those go to anybody these days,
It's probably an understatement to say that the sports gaming world is expanding and changing rapidly these days. Who do you think does a good job in the space?
Well, really, I'm very impressed with the way DraftKings, and they just finished their most recent acquisition, Jackpocket. FanDuel has done incredible. Those guys, they're up 1 and 2, right? Banging each other's heads in each market, 1 and 2. But I'll tell you what, Caesars and MGM, we are not sleeping on them at all. And Hard Rock is creeping up. I think they've got some big plans. So these guys have really done a good job, and we've been very impressed by them. And of course, now you've got, Fanatics stepping in, and
ESPN Bet.
Yeah, ESPN Bet. I mean, they made a huge splash in the last month, and it's like one of the markets they just came into. They really came out of nowhere, and I think it was like Ohio, maybe right before the Super Bowl. They really kind of captured a good market share. Their brand is known, so there's something to be said about that. So they've done a great job from an affiliate standpoint. Better Collective and Action, those guys they've done a great job, and I actually think Better Collective got a steal at $250 million when they acquired Action, because as time goes on, the affiliates are going to become more and more important, and I think it's going to be tougher and tougher to get into our space. So I really think we think maybe 4 or 5 good affiliates will be around in say 5 years, and we certainly plan on being one of them. But because it's important that the sports books and operators know that we really are here to be their partner. So we need to listen to them. How do we drive better interaction with them? But then also the users, we're constantly taking that feedback, and it's, that, circle loop, as they say, and from a, feedback standpoint. But it's, Henry Ford used to say, if I listen to what 30 people on how to build the best car to come out with a donkey or something like that. I'm probably butchering that, but it was effectively that, right? Like you can't just listen to people. I mean, we've got to go on our instincts, and I think we have pretty good instincts inside of the business because we have guys who are sharps, inside of our company as advisors. But we also have folks that just come from the marketing standpoint and say, well, wait a minute, let's make sure it's also, appealing from a general basis. What if somebody doesn't want to bet, but we can offer them other things because there's a broad market that maybe it fits as well. So, we really see, the actions and kind of the top sports books operators have all done a great job. And it's just fun for us to be in the middle of it and be a part of it with all these guys, because I am a novice sports bettor. I am a direct marketing guy and an entrepreneur, and love technology. And so we're lucky that we have so many good coders and tech guys on our team. So when it comes to sports betting, it's fun for me because I'm kind of I'm no expert, so I can't tell you who's going to win on any game tonight. I get these questions all the time from people, and I just kind of go, I don't know. What do you think? Sounds good. But then I go, oh, let's pull up our AI. We just simulated it 10,000 times. Oh, that's who's going to win, right? Like they're scheduled to win. So it's really, it's been fun for us to be in the middle of it. But action is a great one. We think they're really probably the best by far in the affiliate space. And then those operators, I mean, all the top guys, and they're going to continue to flourish too.
Where do you see sports gaming headed in America? What's the next horizon for us?
I think just with all of the technology and the ability for it to be all encompassing, I think people are underestimating the power of the data that's going to be in there. We really come at this from a big data standpoint and looking at it from a hyper personalization standpoint. You're going to be able to design your Atlas World Sports app in your hand one day and say, I don't even care about these sports. I don't care about that. But anytime there's news on whatever my favorite team is, I'm a huge Packers fan, diehard Green Bay Packers, right? So any kind of that breaking news, like I don't care if it's in the middle of my workday, ping me. But other general NFL news, ping me after 5 p.m. Cool. And then it gets refined, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And then when you could put up, we're looking at things such as during say, October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the ability to put on maybe the Susan G. Komen bow, or, do a pink theme of sorts, and maybe a percentage of transactions, goes into a donation of sorts for that month. And the next month, you could do camouflage for the veterans and, really things where people feel empowered to create their own. But then from there, this data that we have, this massive database, we have so many servers that we're working with between, our hosts with AWS, which has done a great job for us. But we also have, coming from my world in direct marketing, we have 400 million emails of authenticated United States citizens, because most people have 3, 4, 5 emails. We have those. We have built a database, and that comes from my direct marketing world. So, we're like a database company. And so the ability for us, we have 65 columns of data on every of those users. So if the operators say, look, I want to find these types of people in Arizona, we can do it. We already have that data. We don't have to, go to a third party. We own it. We have a server farm that has all of that. So we really look at the value of that. And now we're going to see what their tendencies are. And it's, and it's more to help, ultimately customizing proper promotions. Like, why would you send somebody something for golf if they're a tennis nut? Maybe you're trying to cross sell and see if you can pull them in from a marketing, philosophical standpoint. But in general, market to them what they want, and they're going to buy it. Why would you send a male jersey to a female, who has bought female gear? You got to think through that stuff. But that's a huge undertaking when you're building software and customizing. And we have, we're in, the app stores, and we also have the website and the mobile website. So if you think about, we have 4 concurrent tech builds going on at any given time. So any one of those is intense, but now multiply that by 4, it's pretty intense, but it's all going to the same giant, living, breathing database, if you will. And that's what's exciting for us, is really that marketing side. So that's where I kind of geek out, if you will.
Before we go, I got to ask, as a Green Bay Packers fan, what did you think of Jordan Love this year, and what do you think the future holds for him?
Well, it was time. I've met Aaron Rodgers a few times before, and he's a good guy. He just it was time to do the breakup tape, if you will. If you want to do an 80s reference, the mixtape breakup, and then burn CDs for your breakup. Now kids are probably downloading a breakup thing and sending a song. I don't know, Spotify or whatever, but it was time. It was just like, it was just one of those things where all the Packers fans, Packers Nation, I like to call us, of course, Packers Nation, because we stick together, we're tight. But everybody looked at it, and it was just time for him to go. And it wasn't because we didn't want him. It's because he just was starting to do some goofy things, and he was being unmanageable. I think it's a real thing. And Matt LaFleur is a head coach. I don't care if you think you're better than somebody or smarter or whatever else. That's still your boss. We have to have hierarchy in this world, or we have chaos. Like, whether you agree with them or not, then leave. Like, if you hate your boss at work, cool, quit, go somewhere else. But if not, sorry, you got to fall in line. Otherwise, we have problems, right? There's a reason we have stop lights and stop signs. Otherwise, cars would just go whenever they want, which they did, back in the Model T days, and that was an issue. So Jordan Love, to see him the way the first half of the season, I got to tell you, I was like, man, I don't know if this was the right move. I was worried. And then boom, I think they finally caught it. And I think it was a credit to both Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. They just said, dude, throw everything out the window. Let's just play. Let's hang it out. If you throw some picks, whatever. And he just got in. And I'll tell you what the best thing about it is chemistry. The locker room, you can tell. I've never seen the locker room like that. And Joe Panos is a great friend. He used to play in the NFL many years. He's an agent now, and he has guys. And he told me that they genuinely all like each other and playing with each other. Rodgers got to that point where, he had his favorites, and then it was just kind of associating to nobody else. And I'm not trying to trash Rodgers. I'm just kind of trying to shoot you straight, because I got to call it as I see it, and or as I've heard it from friends. So we're excited about what's going on, and we're excited about the NCAA tournament coming around. I went to Marquette University High School, so the prep school for Marquette University. And Marquette University is now 6th in the nation. I think AP poll is the latest, mm-hmm. And Shaka Smart's done a great job, and they're making their run. But I mean, Purdue is tough, and of course Wisconsin, although they've kind of fallen out a little bit, they're never to be counted out in the tournament. So, we're excited to be a part of that. And I will be down at the Final Four in Arizona. So one of our investors actually lives down in that area and has tickets. So we have to have a business meeting. So it's going to be really tough to go down to that and talk business,
Oh, I'm so sorry for you. That's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Brian, thank you so much. And thanks to all you guys do for the industry and the publication. We love being a part of it. Thank you.